Good morning. Today, 10 of 365 days as we read through the Bible in a year. We are following together the Adventure Timeline created by Jeff Cavins. We are following the New International Version. I'm using the one from the sanctuary. My name is Pastor Jay Lutz. I'm the pastor at Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church in Ponoka. And today we're going to be reading Genesis 20 to 21, Job 9 to 10, and Proverbs 2, 6 to 8. Genesis 20 to 21 starts off with Abraham and Sarah and their move from Mamre to the Negev region. Here we hear and meet Abimelech. He again tries to Abraham the being to slough off his wife as his sister like he did in Egypt. Didn't work in Egypt, not going to work here. But this time, at least God warns Abimelech in a dream. Oh, poor Abimelech. Next, we read of the birth of their son Isaac and the conflict with their first son Ishmael and his mother Hagar, and Abraham's treaty with Abimelech. Next, we'll talk about Job as we hear about the laments of Job and his response to his second friend, Bildad the Shuhite. And lastly, we'll be reading Proverbs 2, 6 to 8, which is a very short excerpt from King Solomon about God's protection for those who follow in God's wisdom. So let us start. Chapter 20. Now Abraham moved from there into the region of the Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while he stayed in Gerar, and there Abimelech said of his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because the woman you have taken, she is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not gone near her, so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'? And didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clean conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. This is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and yours will die." Early the next morning, Abimelech summoned all his officials and when he told them all that had happened, they were very much afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham in and said, "What have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you have brought such guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that should not have been done." And Abimelech asked Abraham, "What was your reason for doing this?" Abraham replied, "I said to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, 'This is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, this is my brother.' Then Abimelech brought sheep and cattle and male and female slaves, and gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah, his wife, to him. And Abimelech said, 'My land is before you, live wherever you like.' To Sarah he said, 'I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated.' Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his slave girls, so that they could have children. For the Lord has closed up every womb in Abimelech's household because of Abraham's wife, Sarah." Chapter 21. The birth of Isaac. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old, and when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. And she added, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking, and she said to Abraham, get rid of that woman and her son, for that slave woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God said to him, do not be so distressed about the boy and your maidservant. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the maidservant into a nation also, because he is your offspring. Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulder and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down nearby, about a bow shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. And as she sat there nearby, she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what is the matter? Hagar, do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation. And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. At the time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me, or with my children, or with my descendants. Show to me in the country where you are living as an alien the same kindness I have shown to you. Abraham said, I swear it. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servant had seized. But Abimelech said, I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today. So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock. And Abimelech asked Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves? He replied, accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well. So that place was called Beersheba, because the 2 men swore an oath there. After the treaty had been made at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called upon the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. Second reading, Job 9 to 10. Chapter 9. Then Job replied, indeed, I know that this is true, but how can a mortal be righteous before God? Though one wished to dispute with him, he could not answer him 1 time out of 1,000. His wisdom is profound, his power is vast. Who has resisted him and comes out unscathed? He moves mountains without their knowing it, and overturns them in his anger. He shakes the earth from its place and makes its pillars tremble. He speaks to the sun, and it does not shine. He seals off the light of the stars. He alone stretched out the heavens and treads on the waves of the sea. He is the maker of the Bear and Orion, Pleiades, and the constellations of the south. He performs wonders that cannot be fathomed, miracles that cannot be counted. When he passes me, I cannot see him. When he goes by, I cannot perceive him. If he snatches away, who can stop him? Who can say to him, "What are you doing?" God does not restrain his anger. Even the cohorts of Rahab cowered at his feet. How then can I dispute with him? How can I find words to argue with him? Even though I am innocent, I could not answer him. I could only plead with my judge for mercy. Even if I summoned him and he responded, I don't believe he would give me a hearing. He would crush me with a storm and multiply my wounds for no reason. He would not let me regain my breath, but would overwhelm me with misery. If it is a matter of strength, he is mighty. And if it is a matter of justice, who will summon him? Even if I were innocent, my mouth would condemn me. If I were blameless, it would pronounce me guilty. Although I am blameless, I have no concern for myself. I despise my own life. It is all the same. That is why I say, he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. When a scourge brings sudden death, he mocks the despair of the innocent. When a land falls into the hands of the wicked, he blindfolds its judges. If it is not he, then who is it? My days are swifter than a runner. They fly away. Without a glimpse of joy, they skim past like boats of papyrus, like eagles swooping down on their prey. If I say, I will forget my complaint, I will change my expression and smile, I still dread all my sufferings, for I know you will not hold me innocent. Since I am already found guilty, why should I struggle in vain? Even if I wash myself with soap and my hands with a washing soda, you would plunge me into a slime pit, so that even my clothes would detest me. He is not a man like me that I might answer him, that we might confront each other in court, if only there were someone to arbitrate between us, to lay his hand upon us both, someone to remove God's rod from me, so that his terror would frighten me no more. Then I would speak up without fear of him. But as it is now stands with me, I cannot. Chapter 10. I loathe my very life, therefore I will give free rein to my complaint, and speak out in the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, do not condemn me, but tell me what charges you have against me. Does it please you to oppress me? To spurn the work of your hands, will you smile on the schemes of the wicked? Do you have eyes of flesh? Do you see as a mortal sees? Are your days like those of mortal, or your years like those of man, that you must search out my faults and probe after my sin? Though you know that I am not guilty, and that no one can rescue me from your hand. Your hands shaped me and made me. Will you now turn and destroy me? Remember that you molded me like clay. Will you now turn me to dust again? Did you not pour me out like milk, and curdle me like cheese? Clothe me with skin and flesh, and knit me together with bones and sinew. You gave me life and showed me kindness. In your providence watched over my spirit. But this is what you concealed in your heart, and I know that this was in your mind. If I sinned, you would be watching me, and would not let me off my offense go unpunished. If I am guilty, woe to me. Even if I am innocent, I cannot lift my head, for I am full of shame and drowned in my affliction. If I hold my head high, you stalk me like a lion, and again display your awesome power against me. You bring new witness against me, and increase your anger towards me. Your forces come against me, wave upon wave. Why then did you bring me out of the womb? I wish I had died before any eye saw me, if only I had never come into being, or had been carried straight from the womb to the grave. Are not my few days almost over? Turn away from me, so I can have a moment's joy before I go to the place of no return, to the land of gloom and deep shadow, to the land of the deepest night, of deep shadow and disorder, where even the lights is like darkness. Our last reading is from Proverbs 2, 6-8. For the Lord gives wisdom from his mouth, comes knowledge and understanding. He holds victory in store for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk is blameless. For he guards the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones. These are great words. God holds victory in store for the upright. He shields those who walk blameless. He protects the way of the faithful ones. Don't lose hope. Even though Job in 9-10 starts to lose hope. And in verse 10, it's very sad, right? He says that, why did you even bring me out of the womb? I wish I had died before my eyes saw me. If only I had never come into being or had been carried straight from the womb to the grave. But then he says at the very end, which I find is interesting, to land of the deepest night of deep shadow and disorder, where even the light is like darkness. So he knows that God is the light, and he knows that darkness is very dark. But as we learn from Abraham in our reading from Genesis, he knows that God is with him. Although it's interesting, he makes some not so wise decisions, especially continuing to have his wife call him brother. No, but it's interesting though that it says, he says to Abimelech, he says, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. In verse 11, and you wonder, Abraham is going into all these places in which he feels like he is alone because he's one of the few left on the earth that loves and respects God. And this must be hard. I know there's people today that the same thing as they go through as probably missionaries in many other countries, they feel the same way that Abraham does. But Abraham is faithful to God. And this is what we can take from this. And he has compassion. We see this with Hagar and Ishmael. He doesn't want to do as his wife tells him to do. He doesn't want to send away his son because Ishmael is his son and he loves him. And I love that about Abraham. He loves his son and he doesn't want to cause him harm. But God says to him, trust in me. I will do what's right with Ishmael. And even though you may be sending him away, I will care for him and make him a great nation. And so remember that God is a God of compassion, that if we walk alongside him, that he always takes care of his people, and that even if we reject those who God loves, he will care for them. So thanks be for the God that we have. And thanks be to you for watching this. Continue to pray for one another and for me as I go along this reading the Bible in a year. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.